This is section 5.1, and we have moved to combining functions in this section. We know what functions are, and so now we get to do a couple of things with them. First thing we're going to talk about is operations on functions, and these are the rules for that. If you have two different functions, f of x and g of x, and you want to find f plus g of x, it is the same as adding f of x plus g of x. So that kind of makes sense. Same way with subtraction and multiplication and division. With division, the only thing there is this stipulation that g of x on the bottom cannot be equal to 0. So they have to throw that in. But we're going to do several things in the problems using these operation ideas on functions. Then we're going to get into composition of functions, and this is where we're literally putting one function into another. The writing of that, the terminology that you would see would either be this way with f parentheses g of x and another parentheses f of g of x, or you would have this small circle here and you say f of g of x or g of f of x. And let's look at a couple of examples. We're given f of x and g of x. These are two functions. If we're asked to find f of g of x, I usually draw this arrow reminding myself that I'm going to take this g of x and put into f. Always go right to left. So that means I'm going to take g and I put it in yellow here, and I'm going to go over to f, and wherever there's an x, I'm going to put that g function. So I have 3 parentheses x squared minus 8 plus 5. Then you distribute, so I'm just distributing this and this, and I get 3x squared minus 24 plus 5, and clean it up a little bit more and get the 3x squared minus 19. Then, if I want to find g of f of x, it means I'm going to take f and put into g. So here's my f in blue, and I'm going to go over, and where x is, I'm going to replace it with this 3x plus 5. So instead of x squared, I'm going to have 3x plus 5 squared minus 8. Then I'll FOIL that out and get this, subtract the 8, and the only thing left to do is you get 17 here. All right, so that should get us ready for our problems. So let's go here. All right, let's see. We are given the function 4x plus 1 and evaluating these things in the function. So let's see what that means to do. It means to plug in whatever we're given there. So g of negative 4 means that we're going to take 4 and put in the negative 4 here. All right, and that would be negative 16 plus 1, which is negative 15. All right, g of k means we're going to have the same function, but what are we putting in? We're plugging in k. And that gives us simply 4k plus 1. All right, g of x squared, x to the 4th, we're going to have 4. And inside here, we've got x to the 4th. So we ultimately have 4x to the 4th plus 1. All right, g of 4x minus 5. Oops. We want red so we can see it. We're now going to have to distribute, and we end up with 16x minus 20 plus 1, which is 16x minus 19. Okay. All right, number 2. All right, we've got two functions. and we're going to be doing the operations on these and finding their domains. All right, so here we've got, I'm going to write them over here. F of x is 7x, and g of x is 4x squared. So f plus g, that means we're just going to add these two. So we have 7x plus 4x squared. That's going to go in our box. What's the domain of that? Is there anything that's a problem? Do we have anything on the bottom of a fraction or anything in a radical? We don't. So the domain is going to be all real numbers. All right, the subtraction. We're going to have 7x minus 4x squared. We can't really do anything else to that. So that's that. Again, the domain, all real numbers. Multiplying, we're going to have 7x times 4x squared. We'll go ahead and multiply that out and get 28x cubed. Domain, any issues? No, we got all real numbers. Dividing, when we divide, we're going to have 7x over 4x squared, and we can reduce that right here, that x and that x squared, and we're going to be left with an x down here. So we'll have 7 over 4x. And now we have a fraction, and so we have to take this part, the denominator, and set it equal to 0 to see what the restriction would be. So this is my restriction. That's the one thing that x cannot be. So if you look here in the domain, this one says x is less than or equal to 0. This is greater than or equal. Well, it cannot be equal. It's got to be this one, x not equal to 0. Okay. All right, that should do number 2. Let's look at number 3. Let me make that a little bigger if I can. All right, so we've got some tables with some numbers, and we're asked to evaluate some expressions, some orders on these operations. So what you need to recognize is that you've got an x line in both of these tables, and then here's our two functions, f of x values and g of x values. All right. If we're doing f plus g of 3, that means we need to do f of 3 and we need to do g of 3. F of 3, we go to 3 on the x, and f of 3 is 3. G of 3, we go to 3 on this x, g of 3 is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. So that's what our answer for that would be. All right. F minus g. So we still have 4. We need f of 4 and g of 4. All right, f of 4, we go to 4 on the x. F of 4 is 2. G of 4 is 2. And 2 minus 2 is 0. Okay. All right, on the g of f of negative 3, we need g of negative 3 and we need f of negative 3. And g of negative 3 right here is 0. F of negative 3 is negative 5. 0 times negative 5 is 0. Okay. All right. Let's look at D. F divided by g of negative 3. So I need f of negative 3 and g of negative 3. All right, and I already had figured those out here. So f of negative 3 was negative 5. G of negative 3 was 0. And negative 5 over 0, that's undefined. And that is one of the choices on all of those. So we got that done. All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4, we're going to do the same kinds of things. We're just plugging in here. Alright, g of negative 1 means we're going to put in 8 x minus 1 plus 9. So we're putting a negative 1 here. And so that's negative 8 minus 1. That's a negative 9. But the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. So we have 9 plus 9 equals 18. Alright, let's do g of b. So we've got the same thing, 8 minus 1, and we've got b here. Alright, so that's simply, you can't do much with that. There was a plus 9 out here. We've got the absolute value of 8b plus 1 plus 9. Alright. Alright, the next one has g of x cubed, so we're doing the very same thing, and I think you can see that you've got the absolute value of 8x cubed minus 1 plus 9. Alright, and g of x minus 8, you're going to have, now this one we've got 8 times x minus 8 minus 1 and then a plus 9. So we've got the absolute value of 8x minus 64 minus 1. So that'll be a minus 65 and then a plus 9. That a little bigger. All right. F of g of negative 5 when this is f of x and this is g of x. So let's make this, we'll show this a little bit differently here. Alright, so f of g of negative 5 means we're going to find g of negative 5. So that means put negative 5 in there. So that equals 5. And then we're going to have find f of that. So when you have one like this, whatever you get here goes in to here. So f of 5 equals 4 times 5 minus 1, which is 20 minus 1, which is 19. So that's your ultimate answer for that one. G of f of 3 means we start with f of 3. F of 3 is equal to 4 times 3 minus 1, which is 11. And then this 11 goes where? Into the g function. And we get 11. All right, on number 6, we have f of x is x plus 4, and g of x is x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 15x minus 33. And we're going to find each of the following. So first one is find f of g of x. So that means we need to take g and put into f. So all of this goes where the x is. So let's do that here. We've got x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 15x minus 33. That's that x there, and then plus 4. So your ultimate answer would be x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 15x minus 29. What is the domain? All real numbers, because there's not a problem. We don't have any restrictions. All right. G of f means we're going to take this f and put into g. And it says simplify your answer. So let's see what we can do with that. So we're going to have x plus 4 to the 4th plus 3 times x plus 4 squared minus 15 times x plus 4 minus 33. And I believe that they will actually just accept that as our answer. And again, the domain is all real numbers. And now when we have to do f of f, all right, f of f says we're going to take this x plus 4 and put it in for x. So we'll have x plus 4 plus 4, which equals x plus 8. And the domain, again, is all real numbers. All right, let's make this one a little bigger. All right, we've got f of x is equal to 8x plus 1, and g of x is the square root of x. All right, so f of g means we're going to take this g and put in there. So we're going to have 8 times the square root of x plus 1. And g of f means we're going to put f inside here, and we'll have the square root of 8x plus 1. The domain of the first one is when we have a square root of x, the issue has to do with that radical. And remember that a radical can be 0 or positive. It cannot be negative. So in this one, we just have a square root of x. So it says the domain is what to infinity. And there's going to be a 0 there because that is where that would start on that restriction. Now on this one, under the radical is 8x plus 1. So we want to take that 8x plus 1 and say that thing has to be greater than or equal to 0. And we solve it. 8x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1. X has to be greater than or equal to negative 1/8. And so over here inside this box, we've got negative 1/8 in that part right there. Okay. All right, number 8. Okay, we've got f of x is equal to this, and we've got g of x equal to this. All right, let's see what we got. F of g. F of g. So we're going to take this g and put it in for this. So we've got 4 times x plus 8 over 4 minus 8. And when we clean this up, the 4's disappear. We've got x plus 8 minus 8 equals x. All right. And then g of f means we're going to put this f in here. So we've got 4x minus 8 plus 8 over 4, which is 4x over 4, which is also x. And so those would be your answers for that one. All right, now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to be doing this evaluating on a graph. So we have the same kinds of information. We have an f of x line, and we have a g of x line. So I'm going to just make these colored lines so that we can see where we're going. All right, we are supposed to find f of g of 4. So we want to find g of 4 first. And you go to 4 on the x-axis and move till you are on the g line, and we are already there. So the y value there is 0. Then we find f of 0. Remember, it's a pattern. So we go to 0 on the x, and we move till we're on the f and we go here on the f, and f of 0 is 3. So f of g of 4 is 3. Now let's do g of f of 3. G of f of 3, that means we need to find f of 3 first. Alright, we go to 3, and we are on the f line when we're on the x-axis, and so the y value there is 0. And then we'll find g of 0. Go to 0 on the x-axis, go down till we hit the g line, and we're at -8. Okay. Number 10. Okay, we've got a G line right here, and we've got f of x is this parabola here. Alright, we're asked to find f of g of 1. So we will go to 1 on the x-axis, and we will go to the g, and we are at 3. So g of 1 equals 3. And then f of 3, we'll go to 3 on the x-axis, and we are on the curve for the f, and we are at a y value of 0 there. So this one gets a 0. Alright, g of f of 2, we'll go to 2 on the x-axis, go till we meet the f, and f of 2, we're at -1. And then we'll do g of -1. We'll go to -1 on the x-axis, we'll go down, and we are at a y value of -1. So -1 goes there. Alright, g of 0. Go to 0 on the x-axis, go up till you hit the g line, you're at 1. And then find g of 1. Go to 1 on the x-axis, go up till you hit the g, you are at 3. So 3 goes there. So the second one in each of these is your solution. Okay. Alright, now we've got the same thing that we had in the graph. In each, we have an x line, and then we have some f of x values and some g of x values. Alright, g of f of 2, that means we start out with f of 2. F of 2 is 6. So then we'll find g of 6. G of 6 is 7. So that's our answer for that part. F of g of 4, we start with g of 4. G of 4 is 6. And so then f of 6 is 2. Alright, g of 6. We're going to start out with g of 6 is 7. And then g of 7, we don't have an x value of 7, so it is undefined for that one. So we would get this. Okay. And our last one is like that one. And we'll mark these again. Alright. G of f of 3. That means we get f of 3. And f of 3 is 6. And then we do g of 6. Whatever you get here is going in the next one. G of 6 is 7. This is very much like the other one. Alright, f of g of 5. So we're going to start out with g of 5. G of 5 is 6. And then f of 6 is equal to 3. F of 6 is 3. All right, last one, g of 6. It's just very much, do we have the same, we did different tables, but very similar answers. Okay, g of 6 equals 7, and then g of 7 is undefined in this one as well. And on these, you would fill in that answer and put those numbers in your box. So that should get you through 5.1.